So from what I've seen in my classes that I teach in Cape Town in Ether is that a lot of times people have like kind of gone through the wave, they've danced earth, water, fire, air, and a lot of people by the time they get to Ether they're exhausted. They've kind of really like just burnt up all that energy, and a lot of people lie down and just get really still and quiet in this particular part of the wave of elements, which is kind of like it's well, you can do it. It's something you can do, sort of just become really really still. But there's a beautiful opportunity that exists in the ether to find and discover the most subtle of movements and really slow your dance down, and get into the very fine sort of movements that require an enormous amount of your awareness, your attention. And in that, you really sort of penetrate deep inside your own being. And what I'd like to bring out in terms of the ether, which, as Caitlin's been explaining, is really about the spaciousness, the space between things, or the space that holds things, or the silence in which the sounds occur, the space in which we dance. And our bodies are very much made up of that space. And in essence, it's the most subtle form of our being, is the space that holds everything that's going on. And by everything, I mean the body and all the physical sensations in the body, the mind and all its thoughts, the heart and all those emotions that stir there, and the feelings that stir up, and everything that's kind of moving inside us and alive for us in this moment are moving within the space of ether. And I'd like to talk about the two qualities of ether, awareness and equanimity. Today, I think I'll talk about awareness predominantly, and it really is born out of that guideline that we give in Dancing Freedom, which is to stay present. As you begin to slow down and your movements become more subtle, you start to really feel into these expressions in the body that come from a very quiet place within us, but very connected still because of all the other dancing we've been done to everything that's been sort of cooked up through the other elements. And ether is a time to sort of ground it all and to embody it. And it can be embodied in these incredibly beautiful gestures that our body begins to move with and make. As we slow down, we start to find that these very subtle, fine movements start to play through us. And we can follow them with our attention and our awareness, and we can be present to what it is that's moving, so that we begin to develop a language that is very unique to our body and our being. That the movement is our expression, the movement is our language, and we learn what they mean, what it means when I move and my fingers do kind of that, or this, or some kind of gesture of the whole body just going, like, and it's taking all those feelings and emotions and thoughts that are stirring inside and really putting it into this very slow, smooth, still dance that allows us to get in contact with it all and to really see what's there. So in terms of awareness in ether, it's an opportunity to really sort of go within and really feel everything moving, and to also be aware of yourself as the space in which it is moving. And that way we have a lot less resistance to it, because it moves away from that idea of or what's the quote or the saying, it's not happening to us, it's happening through us. And we kind of get in touch with that feeling and allow things to move. And as our awareness and our presence begins to deepen, because there's always more, there's always something else to become aware of. We can feel and we can come into contact, and we move from a gross level to a very subtle level, and keep pressing, pushing that edge of known into unknown. And as the unknown becomes seen, it becomes known, which means it's a resource within us that we then access, that we have connection with. And this particular part of the elemental wave is really the time in which we can feel into that. Yeah, I could go on forever. It's such a beautiful practice, movement and dance. And our bodies are so wise and so able to move with what is in our lives, so much more so than the mind, which has a tendency to get stuck in the story and caught up in things and trying to solve and find solution to all the issues going on and all the problems or the challenges that we face in life, where the body is just, here it is, and I'm moving it, and as I'm moving it, it's changing. And that certainly has been my experience of dance, that a lot of things that happened or have happened in my life, and difficult times that I've moved through, and experiencing the mess that is a human, I found that the best medicine has been movement, has been dance. And it's certainly helped me a lot in difficult times of my life, as well as when you are done with all the processing and you've moved through all that stuff and you're kind of in between one catastrophe and another, there is the opportunity to be creative. Because not only is this practice allowing us to move with what is and to move through things and to work with the stuff that's challenging us, but it also provides us with an opportunity to explore the other side of that, which is our creative expression in this world. And we develop and gain insights on how to move in this world. And certainly coming through a practice where we've been at it for the last 19 days now, we've moved through a lot of things. We've shaken up a lot of stuff, and I'm sure, no doubt, that all of you have experienced, both sublime bliss and peace, as well as times where it's just a little bit edgy and it's a little bit uncomfortable, or it's a little bit, and yet it moves. So, talk about the idea of equanimity, which I believe to be sort of another very, very important aspect, because awareness without equanimity is very, very uncomfortable. To become aware of things that, particularly things that are uncomfortable within us, things we don't like to see or feel, or doesn't feel right, or we pass judgment on it, or we, just don't like it being there, or even the other side of that, which is we become aware of the bliss and the joy and the excitement and the love and the openness and the beautiful feelings which move through us, and they can be just as sticky as the uncomfortable things. If you're caught up in that, the flip being when you're feeling all this joy and bliss, and then it changes and it's not so blissful, or it's average, or whatever, you kind of then feel like, oh no, I've done something wrong, or like something's missing. I was feeling all of this amazing feeling and now it's gone, so I'm going backwards, or the other way around, back into the sort of suffering aspect of it, or the uncomfortable aspect of it, is, oh no, I don't want this, I don't want to feel like this, and both are then bring you to a place where you may throw in the towel or stop dancing, stop your movement, which is why there is that guideline: stay in movement, no matter what you're feeling, no matter what you're experiencing, no matter what's coming up for you, whatever you're feeling and experiencing, stay in movement. It's such an important guideline. And it's the one that sort of points towards the cultivation of equanimity, because usually we stop moving when we are resisting, or when we are not liking what we're feeling, or it's not doing it for us, or whatever it may be, or your mind gets into some kind of thought or loop that stops the dance. And then that opportunity to go, wait a minute, let me feel back into myself, and where's the movement? It's to start moving again. So equanimity is something that really needs to be added to awareness. Awareness is incomplete without equanimity, in the sense that we're aware of these things, but we aren't able to free ourselves from reacting to them. And when we're in that state of reaction, we're not flowing naturally from our our natural flow. We're in kind of more of a conditioned or robotic behavior of reactivity, which is hardwired into us from early on. So equanimity gives us the ability to be free. Um, and this is why it's called dancing freedom. We're not dancing to get high. We're not dancing to get ecstatic and to reach the sort of highest planes of, human experience. And we're not dancing to get away from our shit and our dark stuff and our shadows, and the lows that come. Freedom really lies in the ability to hold both the light and the dark equally the same, without putting any weight, judgment, or suppressing, say, stuff, but to allow it all to simply be there and to be okay with it being there, and to go, okay, yes, this too is here, and this is how it's moving. And that's freedom, being able to really hold it all, and that's ether. Holding it all. So equanimity, yeah, a really, really big one to practice. And the way to practice that is to really, as you move and as you feel, no matter what it is, to just be with it. To just simply, yes, yes, this too. And we come towards the end of our wave of ether. And I spoke quite a lot yesterday about very slow movements, very subtle, fine movements, which does sort of typify what usually happens in ether, but that's not to say you can't play with pace. Sometimes these fine, subtle movements can be very fast, can be quick, can be sort of piercing within the stillness. So don't limit yourself to having to it having to be slow as you move today. You can move however you feel to move, because you're free to do that. And but we allow really that awareness and equanimity to sort of settle into our being. And being okay with stuff, and particularly with equanimity, is not say, I'm okay and I'm not going to do anything. It doesn't turn you into a sort of, I'll just take whatever comes. So if you want to dump shit on me, do it because it's okay for me. It's not a passive thing. It's an active presence to what is. It's not, a cop out. It's not a cop out to life and facing life's challenges. My teacher in India was once asked why are there so many problems in the world, and initially he was just joking and said, wherever you put a human being more than one, there'll be problems. But then he kind of like sort of thought about it a bit more seriously and went on to explain that the nature of the realm, this third dimensional reality that we exist in, that we live in, that this body inhabits, that our breath moves in and out of, is 50-50. It's a dual world. It's a world full of duality. For every bit of good, there is a bad. For every little bit of light, there is darkness. For every thing heavy, there is something light. Everything, all our feelings. For every happiness, there is a sadness. And for every feeling of anger, there's a calm. This 50-50 movement that's kind of like that yin yang. There's a dynamic play of these dualities which will exist inevitably forever, in a sense that this is the nature of this realm. As long as we reside here, which we do, and here's our body to prove it, we have to deal with the fact that things are 50-50, or that there's this change, there's this movement. And it's only because that there's this duality that there is any movement at all, because it creates the sort of like force or the pull of gravity between the two extremes, creates the movement of the one into the other. And so many of us live our lives going, when it's okay, we don't do anything. We're like, oh no, my life's good. But like, it's usually when stuff comes up that we don't want, that we start to think that something's wrong and I have to do something, and I have to like figure this out, and I have to like, I don't know, go on some kind of process, or like learn something. That's like the biggest trap. I have to add something else to me because I'm not enough. I need more information. I can't deal with this. And then that's really the play of the mind. But if you can accept that there's nothing wrong, that it's human beings. We grieve, we feel pain, we feel sadness, we feel joy, we feel love, we feel it all, you know. So we have this, and we are supposed to feel it all. We're supposed to feel the full spectrum of our possibility of experience as humans, and um, this is where the quality of equanimity as you deal with your life becomes so beautiful. Hmm, yeah, I'm going to go around in circles if I carry on speaking, so I'm stopping myself. Yeah, but my point being is that throughout this challenge, there's been a lot of really, really great and fantastic facilitation and teachers, and we all like to talk about, stuff and provide a map and a framework in which to help sort of contain what you could or may be moving through. But I think I'd just like to leave off by saying you don't need to know any of it. You don't need to take any of it on. We all have our own personal paths and our own practices, and different things will resonate with different people. And we are free to also embrace whatever it is that we feel drawn to in terms of what we choose to do and practice. But the medicine here is the movement, is the dance. And all you need to do is dance. The rest will unfold within your own being. You'll just untie yourself through movement. And so keep dancing, and we'll check in again. Yeah, have a beautiful day. Bye.